Welcome back to the Jessica Burgio Show. It's your girl, Jess Burgio, and I am super excited to dive into a solo episode today around something that's been coming up a ton inside my mastermind and within my own business as well. And it's something that I don't think people talk about enough when it comes to success, especially success in entrepreneurship. It's really the part that I don't think anybody prepares you for because I feel like we're asking sometimes ourselves the wrong questions. We're sitting there asking for a bigger life, but we're not realizing that's going to come with, say, bigger problems, bigger overwhelm, bigger stresses, bigger decisions to make. And I honestly feel like the discomfort that I'm feeling through these things isn't a sign that something's wrong. It's a sign that my life is probably growing faster than I'm used to. And if you're on that up and up trajectory right now, if things have kind of like clicked into gear for you and you're experiencing that momentum and that growth, you're probably experiencing discomfort because there are things that your business is requiring you to do that you didn't have to do before or that you could kind of hide behind. And so in that, it's just like so apparently coming up for so many women in the mastermind. It's a trip, which is so powerful for me as a facilitator to witness other women who are showing up in the arena doing the things, dealing with the same shit. And I know this to be super true because I've been in countless other masterminds where the facilitator it was happening to them and other women around me. And so it once again reinforces why rooms like masterminds are so key to your growth. They keep you in the game, the accountability level, the care in which you bring to the room, because not only do you care about yourself enough to pay for yourself to get the help and the support, but you care enough about other people to show up for them too. And I know that as women, the more that we give and the more that we serve in rooms like that where it's reciprocated, the reciprocity is next level. And you just like bounce off of each other and the energy of success and fulfillment and growth and like, I get you, girl, but let's keep going type of energy. It sounds kind of hypey, but it's so what's the word? Palpable? Yeah, in my mastermind right now. And if I think back to seasons where I struggled through this alone, it sucked. Did I make it through? Yeah. Could it have been easier if I had been surrounded by people who were doing the same thing or growing through the same things as me? Fucking for sure. And that's why so many people love community. And that's why so many people look for community and look for other women who are doing and running kind of the same race as them. Because if someone in your circle isn't kind of operating at the same level as you, they don't understand what you're trying to do or why you're so stressed out or why you'd be taking on more when you're already at your average level capacity. And I'm using air quotes because nobody in my mastermind is average or wants to be average. And that is a very elite place to want to be. So many people say they want success, but they're not willing to play the game and they're not willing to play the game at a high level. That's why they're not getting the results that they want. So it's easier to commiserate and say, oh, that didn't work, or I'm just going to quit, right? We see people stop and start things all the time, starting a podcast, starting a YouTube channel, starting to create content, and then they just fucking fall off. They think that they're going to have overnight success without building a proper foundation. You're just dabbling. That's why you're not having any success. But I've had so many coaching calls, private calls with the women in the house of influence. And I've also had it with my friends who are also entrepreneurs who are not like, say, my paying clients or people that I'm paying to work with. And I've had it with even my clients behind the chair around what it takes to really build the life that you want. It is very difficult to do it all by yourself, nor is it fun. We need people to cry with, people to laugh with, but everything's kind of pointing at the same thing. It's not about a different, marketing plan or a strategy. And it's not even about, I don't think, confidence. I think it's truly about capacity and the identity that you have to start to embody and assume in order to hold more. Everybody talks about comfort and, their comfort circles. And I'm like, what if we just grew that? And so our capacity could grow alongside of it so that we could have the big life that we want. Because don't think for one second that your big life isn't going to come with big emotions. And I shared this inside my mastermind chat that we have that we continue connecting with each other throughout the week when we don't have our calls. And it was something personal for me. And as a coach, sometimes we think we have to always be perfect and not share our side of the street of what's going on sometimes behind the scenes. But that is the magic and the uniqueness that I bring with my coaching style is I am not afraid to share what I'm feeling and what I'm going through or growing through both personally and professionally if I think it can support and help the people in my mastermind. And a couple of days ago, I was having some big emotions and I reached out to a friend. She was going through some things too. We held space for each other. We worked through some things and it was beautiful. And I don't think that that friend of mine or I would have actively reached out to each other because nobody wants to burden somebody else who you know is actively busy. This friend actually just got engaged and I reached out and I said, "Congratulations, but how's it going?" Because I know firsthand what it's like to get engaged and then kind of have like a weird thing happen after you quote unquote get what you've been wanting, which is to get engaged or maybe even to get married. There's like a window, I think sometimes, maybe not for everybody. And this applies to business. You get what you want, and then it doesn't feel like you thought it was going to. Or maybe you get into a fight, or maybe a client asks for their money back, you know, and you're like, whoa, I thought this was going to be different. And so then you start to question everything. And then those hyper independent ones of us were like, well, fuck this. I don't need all this. I'm going to go do this, whether it's like something that happened with business, you're going to quit and go do something else, or you get in a fight with your partner. You're like, I don't even want to be engaged anyways. I don't need this person. And that's where we stop ourselves before we ever push through and try to build the capacity for these things that are inevitably going to happen. You're not going to get along with everybody all the time, especially your most intimate partners, your friends, your family, your lovers, your husbands, your wives. And you're not always going to have the most lovely, nourishing, transformational calls with your coaching clients. It's just not the case. And so if you think you're signing up for marriage or business and it's all going to be fucking rainbows and sunshine, which I know you know it's not, but when it happens, we act like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening to me, or what's wrong with me. And even on my stories today, I talked about giving yourself love and grace and compassion and empathy for being a human. Because a lot of times, everything happens exactly the way we wanted it to, and we don't know what to do with that level of success or happiness because we've never known it before. We've never been in a world where chaos and fuckery doesn't exist. And I want to share a story about one of my current clients who's been a longtime client. She's worked one on one with me in capacity over the last 3.5 years. She's been now in both my masterminds. We've become friends. And she reached out to me. She was having a minute after she had facilitated an amazing retreat, led breath work for these women. And she was like, "Do you have a minute? I need to connect." And I was like, "Absolutely." And she used the word crash out. She's like, "I feel like I'm having a crash out. And I know she'll be okay with me sharing this." And I was like, "Give me 5." And we got on a call. And even before we got on the call, I could feel her be like, "Oh, I'm good." Like she didn't want to burden me with the conversation, even though she is currently paying me to be her coach right now. This is literally what she's already prepaid me for. And she was even trying to negate, like she reached out and then she was even like, "I'm good." And I'm like, "No, let's get on the call. I'm the person that you should be expressing these big feelings to before you go back into your house from your walk and try to pretend to regulate to go be a mom and a wife. Let's get it out now. Let's have the cry, the conversation now. And then when you're calm and you've expressed the feelings at full capacity, you can sit down with your husband and share with him how you're feeling and whatnot." What a better way to approach a situation, because if you're a woman, you know, if you present a bunch of big feelings to men, they don't know what to do with it other than try to help you fix it. And if you present to them, "Hey, I don't need you to fix anything. Here's how I'm feeling. I just wanted to share." That is a completely different dynamic, conversation, all of it. But back to my client friend who went and facilitated this amazing this is the work she's been preparing for that she is so fucking good at. And she looked back at the retreat and she's like, nothing bad happened. It was just a lot came up for people. And that's what happens when you do nervous system regulation work. And in fact, I think everything happened as she wished it would. And she wished she even had more time for them. She was able to hold space for them because she's so amazing. She did her incredible work. And I know exactly what that feels like. And I hope you know what that feels like. She told me how grateful she was to be in this mastermind and have me as her coach, which is amazing. And I was just smiling as she kind of shed some tears that she was feeling overwhelmed. She said, "Why do I even want to do this work? It's so hard sometimes." And I'm like, "Because it's your life's work. It's your purpose. Did you think it was going to be sunshine and rainbows?" And she was like, "No, I know. She's brilliant. She's highly educated. She's accomplished major things. She's wealthy in her own right. She has a beautiful family, 2 healthy children, a partnership that is one that, you know, people envy. And she's literally living and working and doing her dream job. And she still had a crash out moment, you guys. This is what I'm talking about. This is why I share stories of my clients with you, because you might think, oh my God, it's the end of the world. I'm not on the right path. When you have days like this, moments like this, First of all, I'm always like, check the calendar. What day of the month is it? Second of all, I'm like, have you been eating healthy? Have you been drinking enough water? Have you been taking your vitamins? Is your brain chemistry even right now? Right? Because sometimes those are just simple, obvious things that we're not even paying attention to. That's why I talk so much about holistic coaching. That is literally what I do because you can't just look at surface level problems. You have to dig deeper to the root of where are these big emotions coming from? What is actually happening in this moment right now? What are you truly feeling? What is actually happening? And do you actually even need to do anything with this information your body's giving you? Or can you just be in the overwhelming feels of gratitude? I mean, I think they were partially happy tears, not just crash out tears. It was like overwhelmed for the energy she took on, yes, but two, that she's living in her life's purpose. And I was like, am I wrong or am I right here? And it was so beautiful to just sit there and like know that I was cheering her on. This whole squad of women in this group are cheering her on. But I just want you to sit with the question of like, what if the discomfort isn't a sign that you're doing something wrong? Can we stop making everything wrong? What if it's just a sign that your life is growing faster than you're used to? Because I think we're all asking for success on some level, shape, or form. We want more clients. We want a bigger audience. We want to make more money. We pray for these bigger opportunities, a book deal, speaking opportunity, maybe starting a podcast, maybe starting your own mastermind. Then when these things actually start to happen, we are surprised by how much they weigh. They feel heavy. More people are depending on you. More decisions have to be made. Shocking. You got more people watching. There's more responsibility. Of course, it's going to feel different. It's going to feel super stretchy and maybe even a little cringy sometimes. But my friends, it's supposed to. It's supposed to. I think somewhere along the way, we've mistaken that feeling for something being wrong. I don't know why that is. I think it's just our brains are wired for safety and to keep us from experiencing pain on any level, whether it's actually physical pain or stretchy pain. And like I said about my client, I don't think she was overwhelmed because she wasn't capable. Obviously, she's well trained. She's done this a million times. But I think it was because she's never held that much space for people before. And I think the better she gets at what she's doing, the more she's going to be able to unlock for people. And that's a big responsibility. It's kind of think about like, in your own life, the first time you raised your prices or the first time you landed a client, the first retreat you might have hosted, the first time somebody maybe messaged you after listening to your podcast and said, you changed my life. That shit is amazing. It's one part super exciting and one part heavy. And that doesn't mean anything's wrong with you. You've just never carried all that before. And so for me, I always look at like what is actually happening. I like write things out on paper. You guys, we're almost at episode 400 on this podcast. 4 freaking 100. That means I've sat down 400 times and either recorded the solo episode or done an interview with somebody. And that's not to even say some of the episodes that haven't even gone out. And that's not even to share all the episodes I've guested on other people's podcasts. I'd probably put that at like 150, maybe 200 episodes I've guested on. What you maybe don't know is how many times I've questioned myself. What the fuck am I even doing? How many times I've changed my mind? How many times I've posted things and then taken it back or posted it and I'm like, well, nobody wants it. Oh, wow. Because why? You posted it once, Jess? How about how many different businesses I've built? There's been so many seasons, like so many right now. I'm just like shaking my head if you're not watching this on video, where I thought maybe this isn't working. But I am so grateful to have continued doing this work, both externally and internally. The internal work was what really needed to get done. I've had amazing mentors and coaches in my back pocket in my life for the last 6.5 years. And even prior to that, I had amazing mentors in the beauty industry who I just witnessed do the fucking thing. And watching people sometimes is enough. Sometimes you got to pay people to get closer to them, ask them bigger questions, to have them really show up for you and have some skin in the game to make sure that when you are quote unquote crashing out, somebody's there. Because that is not the responsibility of your partner at home. That is not something maybe your best friend would understand. You need the right people in your corner. People that play professional sports don't go to their friend for physical therapy. They go to a physical therapist. People who want to get better at something don't go to somebody who doesn't play that sport and say, hey, help me get better at golf, even though you don't play golf. Doesn't work like that. So why do we do that with our business stuff? Why would you go with your relationship and talk to somebody else who has a miserable relationship? You don't want advice from them. You want to learn and be around people who are living the life, embodying the way that you want to live and show up and how you want to, grow in the success that you want to have. And I don't think that I've been able to do what I've done without building the proper foundation. And it came with putting myself out there and taking risks and trying things on. Everybody talks about wanting momentum, and that's great. But Not as many people are willing to build the proper foundation and do the actual grunt work of digging the 6 foot down ditch that has to go in for that retaining wall to be built so it can hold the big ass house or mansion or castle that you're trying to build on top of it. If you build that shit on sand or a broken foundation, it's going to crumble. It's going to crack. It's not going to work. We know that building the foundation isn't sexy. We know those cringy posts that don't get any views and the things that people don't comment on. That shit ain't sexy. That shit ain't helping you like stay in the game, but it is helping you put your reps in. And I don't really think anybody claps for consistency. They don't. They're just sitting there watching. So instead of helping support and liking it or sharing it, they just scroll on by because they're not your people. So don't be offended when a post doesn't go viral or you only get 25 likes on it. Go find those 25 people and tell them thank you. Thank you for engaging with my content. Thank you for liking my post. Who are you? What do you do if you don't know them? How can we connect? How can I support you back? Reciprocity is a real thing because I can tell you no one's offered to throw me a party or celebrated me for all the years I spent trying to figure this shit out. Nope. I've had to throw myself my own party. They've been pity parties. There's been crash out parties, but there's been moments of severe gratitude where I will just be walking out of my office downtown to my car being like, oh my God, you created your dream life. I have a creative workspace. I have a podcast studio. I actually just moved from the beach to this other amazing complex that has like next level amenities. I have a husband who I deeply adore and love. I have a beautifully healthy teenage boy who at times I want to punch in the throat. But like, I have a pretty great life. And I've had to work really hard in every single arena to create what I have. My husband and I had to build a solid foundation before we could go off and get married, right? It takes almost a year to grow a baby inside of you. And then they can't even walk for another year. And then they can't even talk for another year. And then they can't even wipe their own ass for 2 more years. But we're over here trying to start a business with a couple of Instagram posts and wondering why this shit ain't working. Y'all, what's wrong with us? I know that we're in a world of like immediate gratification, but you got to end that shit. Because without all those years learning and growing, none of this stuff would happen. And again, watching these women is such a blessing for me because businesses don't create your patterns. It exposes them. And if you're afraid of disappointing people, your business will show you. If you don't trust yourself, your business will show you. If you struggle with boundaries, your business will show you. Your business is like a mirror. And if you are constantly looking for permission, your business will show that to you too. And that's actually what coaching has become for me. It's not teaching people how to post content, even though I kind of lead with visibility as my thing. It's really helping them see a version of themselves that's like literally standing in the way of the life they keep saying that they want. And that's where what I love the most, which is identity work, comes in. I've been hearing it more and more, and it sounds kind of trendy, but it's not. Because eventually your business will only grow as much as you're willing to grow. And I think for my midlife ladies, like midlife is actually such an advantage. I think women in their 40s have this incredible opportunity, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. I'm talking to all of y'all. We have lived enough life to know that the hard seasons do not last forever. We have fucking failed a bazillion times over, if you want to even call it that. Many of us have started over. A lot of us have had our hearts broken. We've had to rebuild. I've had to rebuild several times, changed careers, lost friendships. We've learned what actually matters. And that right there is wisdom. You couldn't pay me to go back to 25. I know too much now. I truly do feel like your capacity is built while you're carrying all of that weight, right? You can't build muscle without the weights. And I think we all imagine that one day we're going to wake up and suddenly feel like ready. But like confidence, it's just not going to show up without the work because it's never been my experience that I feel confident before I do something. I've never felt completely ready before something big happened. But you sure as fuck get ready in the midst of it, right? I got ready because I kept showing up. I kept recording. I kept putting my coaching services and programs out there. I kept saying yes to myself that this is where I want to go. This is the work that I want to do. That's how your capacity gets built, not before the opportunity presents itself. It's during it. Another thing I realized over the last couple of months of hosting this mastermind house of influence is that growing your business becomes a true byproduct of just making better decisions consistently. That's really what we're doing inside there together. We're not obsessing over the freaking algorithms. We're not chasing the trendy hacks. We're not jumping on every single challenge that's been thrown out there. And I'm going to say we, because it's not just them. We are becoming women who trust ourselves more and who trust ourselves enough to make the next right decision. Hear me when I say that. We're not figuring our whole entire life out every week. We're just figuring out the next right decision. And then we do that over and over again. And our businesses are growing because your decision making gets better. Confidence levels go way up because you keep freaking promises to yourself, whether that's with content or posting or podcasting or doing the work, following up. And I truly feel that my authority has grown because people watch you continue to show up. Every single one of these women in my mastermind watched me first. Just like every mentor I've ever invested in, I watched them first. People are watching you. Your children are probably watching you if you have kids. Your partner is watching you. Your friends, even if they don't clap for you anymore, they're all watching and they're probably listening because my bitch ass wouldn't have got a 1-star review on my podcast if them haters weren't listening to my show. So hi to you guys too. So if you're listening to this today and you're feeling any sense of overwhelm, I want you to stop making that mean that you're on the wrong path, okay? Let's just ask yourself a different question. Ask yourself this: what if the discomfort isn't coming from a sign that you're doing something wrong? What if it's just a sign that your life is growing faster than you're used to? And maybe this season isn't asking you to, quote, do more. Maybe it's just asking you to become more. And that sounds like a lot, I know. But really, it's just more of you being honest with yourself. Maybe you just need to be more patient with yourself, maybe a little more discerning on where you're putting your energy. And may I even say, could you be more willing to trust yourself? We all have this beautiful innate intuition. You got to tap back into that because I truly believe when you can master those things, that's where success actually is hiding. It's not about arriving somewhere. We all have heard that saying. It's not about the goal, it's about the journey of who you become on your way there. I know we all want to become the kind of woman who can hold the life that we have been praying for. I hope this episode landed for you. I hope you're feeling yourself in these stories. If you are at all interested in joining the fall round of House of Influence, the waitlist is now open. Just send me a DM on Instagram. Let's get to chatting. I will send you the application. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If this episode made you think of someone else who is also building something beautiful and maybe questioning herself a little too hard, send this to her. I think more women need to hear that there's nothing wrong with them. They're not broken. We're just growing. We're just freaking growing. And if this is something you want to get into, like starting a podcast, building yourself up on social media, having more fun with creating content, getting clearer and more dialed in on your messaging, we dig into all of that over the 5.5 months together inside House of Influence. That is truly the only way to work with me. That's the first entry point. And then I do also offer one-to-one coaching, which a lot of the women in the mastermind have added on. So they are getting double supported, one through the community of the group, and then two one-on-one with me. And I'm so excited because we have finalized our plans for the retreat portion of the mastermind, which is going to be in San Diego for almost full week, including a brand photo shoot. Oh, it's going to be amazing. I can't wait to have all the women in one space getting to share the magic of what they have built over the last couple of months together here in early October. But I'm just sending you guys so much love. If you're sitting in this, you got this. Re listen to this episode if you need to. And I will see you next week.